So one of the strangest things to know about Mike Hamilton
Uh-oh.
is he doesn't drink a lot of coffee.
That's true.
He doesn't. And I don't understand this. Like, you live in the Seattle area, and I know you don't actually live in Seattle. You live on the other side of the water, but like, coffee? No coffee? Like, look, every morning I'm up to like 7 cups of coffee so that I have enough energy to match you.
So here's the confession. I drink one of these full of coffee in the morning. It's a refill that I get at a gas station, and it costs a quarter. And after that, I go to water. We're already on water.
I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. I found a new, like, there's so many great coffee roasters around here. I just found a new one, and they deliver coffee to my house every week, and it's fantastic. If anybody wants to know who it is, let me know. Oh, it's so good. So good.
Well, I like coffee. I just don't see the point in, flooding my kidneys with the stuff.
I do. All right.
Okay,
So, a couple of
moving
things.
on.
Yeah, moving on. Speaking of flooding your kidneys, let's talk about healthcare.
Oh, great segue, man.
There you go. It
You
really,
worked in a newsroom?
there are two healthcare things upcoming that I need to tell you about. Number one, we're working
Mhm.
right now on our healthcare breach report. We do it twice a year. We've done it now for 4 years. It's really, this one really interesting, evolving tactics. One of the things that was big and true in 2019 is almost like completely gone. We got a lot of really interesting stuff. The webinar on that, everything is next week. You can sign up for it on our website, criticalinsight.com, click events, and then you can sign up for it. Also, the American Hospital Association has invited Mike and Fred to a panel about the changing healthcare rules and this
This
CSF
is
and
going to
all of
be
that.
good.
And it's going to be good. If you've
This is going
never
to be real
seen,
good.
if you've never seen Hamilton and Regi from the AHA go at it, they're very entertaining.
I'll go at it.
It's fascinating. It'll be that it'll Fred will be there. I don't know that Fred's going to get a word in edgewise. It'll be great. Um, also, yesterday we did a webinar that we're going to put on our. I think it's already on our YouTube channel. If it's not, it'll be on there today. About what does a
It's
VCISO
there.
do, and the 5 mistakes you need to avoid. Um, and what Brad, who's one of our VCSOs, sees when he goes into organizations like that. Org sees are the 5 things you can avoid. And Mike, you're going to Oregon next week. You're going
I
to go
am.
as far away. No, you're not going to go that far. You're just going to go to Oregon.
Just going to go to Oregon and just going to fly to Portland, and Kevin and I are going to drive there. So this is the Oregon Association of Government IT Managers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a place where I'm really comfortable, talking with the government. And looking forward to that. And we're going to talk about the grant and how the grant has been distributed in Washington State and what's going on in Oregon, which looks a whole lot different. And I'm not sure they're following the rules, but we'll find out a little more when I get there.
I mean, meanwhile, Washington State is moving quickly on the
Yeah.
on the federal money. We
The
did a
first
webinar,
round of federal money,
the first
right?
round. Yeah, we did it. We did a webinar about that, and that's going well for Washington State. We haven't heard that much about other states. If you're in one of the other states and you have an update for us, let us know.
Mm.
We're always looking to see what's happening with that and the federal money, because as we all know, state and local governments need that money. They deserve that money. Water districts, hospital districts, like, they need it. So, people are always asking us, tell us what you know, and we'll pass on the knowledge.
Tribes are in scope.
Mhm.
Interestingly, tribes are treated as a state, right? And they get a pot of money to distribute. They
Mhm.
can also apply to the state for the state distribution of funds. So they get 2 bites at that apple, and that's important for them to know.
Sure is. Sure is. So speaking of SCGLP, the SCGLP, the
Needs a vowel. Why does DHS do so many things that are devoid of vowels?
I
What
don't know.
the
You know what, everybody? I'm going to teach you something right now that's going to blow your mind, and it will just destroy the way you think about the English language. When you have something like SLGCP or FBI or CIA, that's not actually an acronym.
well, I know that.
It's an initialism. if you can't say the word, it doesn't become a word. It's not actually an acronym. So
Isn't CIA, if you pronounce it, pronounced
CIA?
CIA?
No, it's CIA. But
Okay.
because you're saying the letters CIA, therefore it's a anyway. But like CISA is an
Hmm.
acronym.
Right.
See, there you go. Okay, you're welcome.
Okay.
Now, back to that, there is another round coming, money
They
for
just
state,
announced
local
it,
governments, hospital districts. Yeah, tell us
and
about it.
it's twice as big, right? And
Yay.
so, and we've been talking about this the whole time. So anybody that tunes into you and I knows about this already. So there's
Hmm.
about $375 million that's being distributed for what will be FY23's grant, right? Because they authorized it in 23, it becomes the FY23 grant, even though FY24 is starting.
Hmm.
So, again, smart money is on using the first round to do an assessment against the NIST cybersecurity framework and use the results as the justification for your funding on the next round. And we helped a bunch of jurisdictions, write their proposals so that they could do just
Sure
that.
did. Hmm.
Hmm. And interestingly, NIST just released the update to the cybersecurity framework. Version 2.0 is out now with the new governance focus area, and there's more on third party risk management and things like that.
Hmm.
So all these things are like coming together like this. So I am happy that we provided the guidance that we did, because I still think that's a very smart way to go about this.
Yeah, and if folks in other jurisdictions, either in Washington State, Oregon, wherever, want our help, figuring out what to ask for and how to ask for it, let us know. We are more than happy to help, with those things. And look, I mean, I'll be honest, it's a little self-serving because we provide some of those services, but that's not what we're in it for. Like, we're mission focused on helping y'all. So, whether you get the services from us, somebody else, we just want to help you get the money and be more secure. Now, another thing that I already mentioned was the NIST CSF changes. NIST CSF 2.0, big deal. And if you haven't seen it, Mike, and I know you've seen it, but they put in the middle of the circle, govern. And guess
Mhm.
who I got to talk to about that?
Superman, Elvis.
Yes. No. Chris Ingalls, who
Oh,
worked at the White House.
and
And
help.
yeah, and so he then left the Biden administration. And so I said to him, I'm like, "Oh, this came out. What do you think?" And he agreed. He's like, "Oh yeah, they designed govern in the middle. That's perfect."
It
Anyway,
is.
it's
It's interesting.
so yeah. So anyway, that's a big change. Okay, back to healthcare.
Okay.
Um, so this
I know you're
breach
going to talk about Prospect.
Yeah, this breach of Prospect
Hmm.
Medical Holdings, and
Hmm.
what we're seeing here is more large systems, and Prospect's not that large, but they own more than one hospital, getting breached. What's the deal here, Mike?
So when there's a corporation that owns hospitals, what they do is they have centrally provided records management. And bad guys know, well, I can go and expend a whole lot of effort to go to that hospital and that hospital and that hospital, steal records, or I can go to the one stop shop that's providing the service for all the hospitals. And of course,
Hmm.
that's what they did. So every individual hospital now has to do a data breach report. Of course, there's going to be a class action suit coming. In fact, I think the plaintiffs are already lining up. And this coincides with the announcement, the warning about this Riceta, right? I don't know how to pronounce it, Riceta, and which is a group that is
Just pronounce
known.
it like a city in Southern California. It'll be
That's
fine.
what I think too. That's what makes Fred happy. So because he's from Reseda, they're going after healthcare very specifically now. They have been known for going education, government, manufacturing, right? The normal targets, and now they're branching out into healthcare. And it looks like they're doing their targeting in such a way that they minimize their own risk,
Hmm.
maximize the output of the effort, right?
Hmm.
And so Prospect Medical Holdings, warnings about Reseda, and we remember we asked um, John about this, and we said, is the Prospect thing from this Reseda group you just warned about? And remember what he said? Well, I can't confirm or deny, and
He's an FBI guy.
I know.
I appreciate
Well,
his
finally, one article came out and said the receipt of ransomware was behind the recent attacks on healthcare. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
those things are joined, and it did say that the gang has not, at least at the time of the writing there, the gang has not admitted it. Right, they haven't confirmed it,
Right.
but they have reason to believe
Yeah,
this.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
And again, I will say this over and over. Do y'all remember when in the pandemic, all of the ransomware groups said, "Oh, we're not going to attack hospitals anymore." Oh, no, no,
Gloves
hospitals
are
are,
off
yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. The gloves were always off. They're just liars. I mean, don't trust criminals. Have you not seen any mob movie? Okay. And all mob movies are true. Um, Sopranos was just a documentary. Okay.
I am the only one on this call that has actual experience working with organized crime. So,
Okay.
okay, that was
Um,
probably out of left field. So,
uh, and has at least maybe it might be true, might not. You don't know. You don't know that. All right. So now there's something else that happened this week, which is, we always get asked the question, what is the ROI of cybersecurity, right? You get an IT director, CISO, somebody who says, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to do this with my security program. I want to do this." And the CFO, a lot of times CFO says, "Well, what's the ROI? Like, we didn't have the spend in the budget. I can't, $100,000, $50,000, $20,000. What's the ROI on that?" Well, Mike, there's a new story out about shareholder value after a cyber
hmm
attack.
hmm yeah, which is interesting because yesterday we talked about this with Brad on the panel, and he told
Mm-hmm.
a story about a company he worked for that got hit real hard through a third party. And what he said was their share value dropped $2 for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
What this article is talking about is on average, shareholder value drops 9% a year after a major incident.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this is the result of polling a lot of organizations to find out exactly what. Now, there are other signals in there. I don't know how reliable that 9% number is, but it's big. And so when you're talking about, and you talk about ROI, we came up this term called ROSI a long time ago, return on security investment, and it's always been really hard to define. And it's really about cost avoidance at this point, as well as competitive differentiation. Right, in a time when everybody has to show your security papers just to do business, if you're not getting after it and you don't have demonstrable security, you're gonna lose business. So I mean, that's the way to justify it. It's not so much, hey, be afraid of shareholder value dropping and investors fleeing and all of this stuff. It's try to preserve yourself, because now there's, claims of negligence coming towards executives, things like that. So I think the value proposition is there. The return on investment is starting to seem clearer and clearer to C-suites.
Yeah, and by the way, side note on that, one of the ways that there is actually a return on investment is if you can get your SOC 2 Type 2,
hmm
that means
Right, your security
there's, yeah,
papers.
you can get your security papers. There are two organizations that we work with to help organizations get their SOC 2 Type 2, and if you
hmm
need a referral, one of the things that we do is, we'll help you figure out where your security program is. We'll help you fix the gaps so that then when you go to one of these auditing firms, your SOC 2 Type 2 goes well, or your SOC 2 Type 1 goes well, and then
Yeah.
your Type
Let
2
me
goes even
repackage
better.
that just a little bit, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
what we do is we come in as a virtual CISO and assess you against the trust principles in a SOC 2, right? It's called SSAE 18 actually. And define where your gaps are, what your corrective actions need to be in order for you to survive a real audit, and then help you to start the accumulation of the artifacts that you need to have to be able to survive the audit, because it's a backward looking audit, right? An auditor can't come in and say, show me a log message 6 months from now.
Hmm.
Right, it's always backward looking, so you have to start accumulating those artifacts because you have to prove what you say. So that's what we do. We take you right up to the line where we go, okay, now you're ready to bring in the auditors, and it goes boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, there's a story that I don't want to say that I predicted would happen, but I might have predicted live sporting events targeted
Mm,
by cyber attacks. Now, Having worked in TV news for so long, I can tell you that, you know, getting something live to TV is super hard,
Yeah.
harder than anybody realizes. Okay. Number one. Number two, people, the people who work in that, it is important that they get it on and it's urgent. And I've always said, hey, cyber attackers are going to go after that, whether it's
Interesting.
TV, whether it's the actual sporting events, because there's urgency to it. They will have a reason to pay, and you can give them a ransom of, a couple $1 million, and they just want the problem to go away.
But would the problem go away in a time frame that would allow the broadcast to occur, right? I mean, normally these things take time, and if you're trying to pull off a football game and it takes 2 weeks to negotiate and send the money, that football game's over. I mean,
Well, I know but that's what the attackers are counting on, that they send the ransom and somebody says, "Oh my God, just pay it."
new business model. Okay, yeah,
I mean,
it's.
but that's what happens
I
in
mean, I read this
hospitals too,
article
right?
too. Yeah,
That's what happens in hospitals. That's what happens in other places. Is somebody says, "Oh my God, just make this go away, just pay it." So, I mean, the fact that they're targeting live sporting events, like, yeah, I mean, we kind of expected this.
yeah.
Okay,
I mean, well, it's kind of on brand, right? You target things that cannot stand downtime, right? Which
right,
is why manufacturing is coming into the sites too. In a big
absolutely,
way. With all
absolutely,
the investment that the government's putting into chip fabrication plants and bringing manufacturing back to the US, a lot of that manufacturing is going to be robotic. It's going to be operational technologies involved. That stuff needs to be secured and monitored
yeah,
because I mean, let's talk about what's going on in government here a bit because some of the stuff that's come out and since the last time we talked, which is like 2 weeks ago or something like that. Did you see that the Russians are being blamed for this shock attack that hit the data of millions of UK voters,
hmm
right? And so the elections have been screwed up, screwed with in the French election, the German election, our own 2019 election. And now, here they just stole all of this voter information from the UK. At the same time, there's this huge wave of cyber stuff hitting Spain right now.
yeah,
Institutions, banks, telecoms, media, tourist companies, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And there's a hugely coordinated attack. And then at the same time, last week, Jen Easterly and others came out and said, in no uncertain terms, gave a stark warning of potential attacks on our infrastructure if tensions with China continue to escalate. And I think we talked about the fact that they found malware that's been implanted in places like dams and energy facilities, stuff like this.
hmm
So what's going on with elections and infrastructure and the coordination of all this is starting to look more and more dire. And, I think we're going to see a shoe drop soon.
All right, threats and phones. What do you got?
Oh God, a lot of stuff since last time we talked. Barracuda. Remember we talked about Barracuda and we said, well, they're just replacing the appliances because they can't be fixed.
hmm
Now they found another backdoor in there. They're calling it Whirlpool backdoor in Barracuda attacks, right? In their enterprise gateway, and you need to get it replaced. Um, Zoom basically needs to be upgraded. I think you need to probably download a new version. Zoom has got new terms. Their privacy terms are freaking people out. But there was a researcher who can get 93% accuracy in detecting keystrokes over Zoom. So what you're typing on a Zoom meeting can be surveilled. Okay, that's crazy. Ransomware is surging again, and the threat actors are using 0 days now. So that either tells you that they have good research teams finding 0 days or that they're
hmm
coordinated with governments.
hmm
Your misconfigured Kubernetes clusters may be conducting crypto mining. Might want to check that out. There is a phishing campaign called Evil Proxy that is
hmm
specifically to defeat multi-factor authentication, right? And we've seen this one up close and personal. You get a phishing message, and if you bite on it, click on, well, let me go to the website to the Microsoft resource usage page, whatever, and it's real. It's a real Microsoft link, but it's proxied through somebody who talks to Microsoft, grabs your session token, talks to Microsoft. They come back and they go, "Never seen your device before. Here's the 2FA challenge. Route it back to you." You go, "Okay," and they got you. And apparently, this is a pretty big campaign going on. And multi-factor authentication is getting routinely defeated now.
Mm-hmm.
Also, patch Chrome.
I like that you say that because as anybody who watches this regularly knows, Mike always ends with patch Chrome.
That's always true.
Actually, you say patch Chrome and restart Windows.
Yeah, well, I was on, I shouldn't say this. I was on an all-day meeting yesterday with a national lab. And as I was looking at the presenters, what they were projecting, they had a little orange dot down there for the reboot. And, I had to say something.
You were that guy, huh?
I'm that guy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. This is the new way of being that person who says, "Oh, you used the wrong there."
Yeah.
It's now, hey, looks like you need to update Chrome
Yeah.
or reboot Windows. All right. I feel like that was a bit of a kicker. That was a funny thing at the end. So do you have something that we do at the end of all of these called a kicker, where you bring a smile to people's face? Besides that one, what do you got?
The one I like the most, increasingly we're talking about AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
I've heard of AI,
right? We're finding, right, AI hallucinates. It does, it's weird. Somebody went to an AI powered grocery bot, okay, which you can ask it to design a menu for you or a recipe based on ingredients you have. And so what they said was, okay, if I only had water, bleach, and ammonia. Okay, they asked the bot, and the bot told it to make a poison bread sandwich. Do you know what happens when you mix bleach and ammonia? It makes chlorine gas and you die. Just like that. It doesn't take long. And so here we have artificial intelligence.
If you breathe it in. Yeah.
If you breathe it in. Artificial intelligence.
Or eat it in bread.
Which has been trained already to poison humans. So here we go. It started.
Does Arnold Schwarzenegger come out of the bread? And is that how that works?
Yes. Yeah. Skynet becomes self-aware.
No. We now have a name for the bread. It's much better than poison bread. This is called Skynet bread.
Skynet bread. There you
go. All right, everybody. With that, I'll leave you. Have a good one.
All right. See you later.
Goodbye, Mike.